is good, baby. Life is beautiful because we are at Dangerous Minds Brewing right here in Pompano. Thank you for joining us. It's our third live broadcast in 4 days. Alex Dono, are you ready to rock, baby?
I am so ready. Happy 46th birthday to David Beckham, by the way. I can't think of a better birthday gift for Bex, who doesn't look a day over 30, by the way. I mean, 46, give me a break, 46 years old. But I can't think of a better present to David Beckham today than an InterMiami gigantic road win. Get a little payback against the team that knocked you out of the playoffs last year. This is a huge game coming up,
No doubt about it. And it won't be easy because obviously we got some important players out. The Higuain brothers are out. Robbie Robinson dealing with a hamstring injury. Julian Carranza dealing with an illness. Pizarro looks like he's back from Mexico and getting that green card. So hopefully he's successful getting the green card and maybe getting some goals today for the team against Nashville.
Yeah, that comes as a huge sigh of relief, and we don't know the starting 11 yet, but our friend Alex Windley from MLS Multiplex did tweet out a short while ago that Rodolfo Pizarro did make the trip to Nashville. So, I mean, there are going to be plenty of vacancies for starting spots today, given all the absences you mentioned. So if Pizarro is there and he's fully fit, he might be starting up top today.
No doubt. We are live here at Dangerous Minds Brewing in Pompano. Come on out and join us out here. We are in the Pompano City Center. Great place to watch the games, hang out, enjoy some terrific beer, some great food, and great company, too, on top of all of that. Abel is by our side driving it. We got Sean down at the studios. While we're here at Dangerous Minds with the great food and the great brew, the voice of InterMiami CF, Chris Whittingham, is back at Drive Pink Stadium ready for the call of the game. Chris, it's great to have soccer back on the air again on a beautiful Sunday, but this will not be easy today with all the absences.
You know, and Chris, if we kind of assume maybe the worst case scenario for the frontline players, obviously, like you mentioned, we know the Higuain brothers are out, and God bless them and their family. If Carranza is also out and Robbie Robinson, who pulled up with an apparent hamstring last week, then how could the approach change? Do you expect InterMiami to maybe be a little bit more compact, defensive, and a little more cynical today?
Listen. I agree with you. There's no doubt that you can walk away with the draw here. We'd be very happy. Lewis Morgan hasn't been a big part of the first two games. How do you get him more involved today? Because that's definitely a weapon that you need desperately on a day like today.
I want to pick up on what you just touched on there, Chris, because watching Nashville SC last year, a lot of 1-0s, 1-1s, 0-0s, and yet they've had 2-2 draws twice to start this season, which does make them a tough team to read, even with similar personnel. So what do you think are some of the factors that's led to them conceding more goals and then, I guess, having to be more aggressive later on to come from behind?
All right, Chris Whittingham, the voice of Inter Miami CF, joining us here on the pregame show as we get you ready for Inter Miami versus Nashville SC. All right, Chris. So let me put you in the Neville position. How are you attacking Nashville today? If you're trying to win this game, or are you going to just stack the box and play counter the entire time and hope you can sneak one out?
Yeah.
I mean, again, Donald, a draw here would be absolutely phenomenal. I would feel great about this team going in there. You get a win today in that situation against that defense. It might be the best win so far in the existence of this franchise. Believe it or not, even bigger than the win last week.
Yeah, and for the reason of the win last week, I'm not counting out this team. I'm not counting out InterMiami because so much of the sentiment, even from people who support InterMiami, which are probably more optimistic than those who don't, the thought last week was we'd love to get a draw in Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia didn't lose a game at Subaru Park all season last year, so there was
They
a
weren't
prevailing.
giving up any goals.
They weren't giving up any. Yeah, they hadn't given up any goals in more than 3 consecutive games when you include CONCACAF Champions League. So Inter-Miami were able to turn the game on its head from the 70th minute on last week. Now, obviously, you're more shorthanded, so Phil Neville will not have the luxury of bringing in so many impact players off the bench because, Federico Higuain, who helped change that game, that was someone who came off the bench. He and Gonzalo are not available today, so it's going to be more difficult, but I'm done counting this out. And even Nashville SC head coach Gary Smith made a nice compliment to Phil Neville during the week, saying he's already seeing the difference watching Inter-Miami. They're a ton more structured this year. I mean, we all knew that last season there was a little bit of chaos, and some of that comes with being an expansion franchise, but other parts of that come from changing the formation and changing the tactics from week to week. So already 2 games in, we're seeing more of an identity from this club, and even the opposing coach has taken notice of that. So Gary Smith knows that Phil Neville's side are not going to be easy to score against.
Look, chaos is going to happen in anything, in business, in life, on the pitch, on the ice, whatever. But the job of the boss, the CEO, the head coach, the father in your home is to maintain that calm and keep a presence that you're in control. This is the kind of moment where Phil Neville gets to rise and kind of make sure he keeps everything in control.
Yeah.
And not panic because of all of the changes that you've got to make.
And I like something Chris said, and I'll pick up on it because Phil Neville did touch on it this week, and it was that midweek presser where he kind of announced, by the way, Gonzalo and Federico are down in Argentina, and Pizarro's down in Mexico getting his green card. He is back. We've come to find out Carranza is ill. Robbie Robinson is injured, so he drops on you all the players who may not be available, but he went out of his way, did Neville, to say, we are not changing our identity. Tactically, no matter who's on the pitch, we're going to try to play the exact same way. And Chris touched on it. I agree 1,000%. This early in the year, that's the right way to approach it. You don't need to get so pragmatic. Now, down the stretch, if you're a point or 2 away from securing a playoff spot, you might have to be just a little bit more conservative and pack box. But earlier this year, I think it's important because Phil Neville, this is only his 3rd game in here in Inter-Miami, so he's still trying to establish this club's identity. So keep playing the exact style of football you would play no matter who's on the pitch. I like that. I respect it. I think that's the way forward for this team.
I'm smiling because it reminds me of Spo. We have enough.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, he could have 3 players. Hey, coach, you need 5. We have enough.
Yeah, very well said.
He always maintains that level of stability. Well, who's always stable, and that's of course Thomas Rongen, the great one. He's going to join us on the other side. We'll also decipher the matchups. We'll get into the injury report. We got a lot of things to cover in the next segment. You're listening to Inter-Miami CF Football right here on OnSideRadio.com as we get you ready for Inter and, of course, Nashville SC right here on the Inter-Miami Radio Network. That's the head coach, Phil Neville, for InterMiami CF. And, Donna, when you hear him, I just love the way he communicates with us, the public, and clearly he's doing it with his players.
Absolutely.
And that's probably why we're watching much more structure, on the field right now. We're watching a team that is playing together. Now, we're going to have a little bit of a chaotic state because we're missing several players. So it's great to have the legend, Thomas Rongen, on, of course, who's played, who's coached, who knows about all of this and being in this kind of situation. Coach, first of all, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us as always. Today, the team goes into a really tough matchup on the road against a team that really loves to play defense. And you're going in as a coach with some of your key players out. Talk to us a little bit about how you handle that chaotic state.
With so many question marks, coach, in the attack, to me, there's got to be an extra emphasis on really controlling this game in the midfield. So through two games, I would love to hear your progress report for the holding midfielder partnership between Matuidi and Gregori so far. How have you felt about the two of them together? Can you mute that? I think the volume was up on that. We're good. Yeah. You know, a player of ours I thought looked a lot better week 2 compared to week 1 was the goalkeeper John McCarthy. I know he didn't make any crazy saves last week, but to me, Thomas, he just looked a lot more authoritative when it came to cutting out crosses and being a little bit more aggressive. What did you think about his performance last week, and how necessary will that be again today?
Well, let's hope he's a 10 today and pitches a shutout, because that would be really nice to keep Nashville blanked for 90 minutes. We're looking forward to the call, Thomas. As always, Coach, appreciate the insight. Always do a great job. Let's hope for a great performance today on the pitch by the boys. We'll be here for about at least an hour. All right,
Nice.
Let's do it. Let's have a cold one. You got it. Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you as always. That is Thomas Rongen. He will have the call for you along with Chris Whittingham and Fernando Fiore. It is time now to get into our matchups. All right, Mr. Dono, let's get into it. What's going to happen today on the pitch?
Well, big matchup I'm looking for. Nashville SC have the center back of the year, the defensive player of the year from last year, Walker Zimmerman, the American international. He is excellent. So whoever's starting up front today for InterMiami, getting any balls past Walker Zimmerman is going to be difficult. On the flip side, InterMiami's back line will really be tested by Nashville's attacking players. Cadiz, Leal, and Mukhtar. Watch out for Randall Leal on the left wing. His matchup against InterMiami right back Kelvin Leerdam is going to be really important today. That's one of the matchups that could decide the game.
Well, looking forward to it. Let's see if the boys can decipher and figure that out. And in a game where they're shorthanded, this could be listen, you know what really helps? They won last week. Lifts the confidence going into this game.
100%.
They got to feel better about themselves going into this game. And some guys are going to get an opportunity of a lifetime to kind of show their wares and show the coach that they can play. We're gonna see what kind of depth InterMiami has today when they take on Nashville. All right, let's go into our injury report. All right, what's the latest? It's long.
InterMiami could be very short-handed today. Robbie Robinson, doubtful for this game. We're not expecting to see him after an apparent hamstring injury late in the first half last week against Philadelphia. He was subbed out at halftime last week. Julian Carranza also doubtful. The forward has been dealing with an illness all week, not COVID-19 related. And, of course, the Higuain brothers, this is not injury-related, but tragic. They lost their mother early last week. So, understandably, Gonzalo Higuain and Federico Higuain, the two goal scorers from last week, they are down in Argentina spending time with their family. They'll be back whenever they're ready.
All right, what we're going to do now, we're coming to you live, of course, from Dangerous Minds Brewing here in Pompano. Come on by and join us in the Pompano City Center. We're out here for every single game, so please join us out here. Every road game, that is. Every road game, we're out here at Dangerous Minds Brewing. So come on out and join us. Great food, great drink. When we come back, we're going to get an update in, obviously, and we'll, of course, talk to what we're gonna have. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna have our guest on. We're gonna have Fernando Fiore on. So we have all kinds of stuff coming up as we get ready for segment number 3 here on InterMiami's pregame show as they take on Nashville SC right here on the InterMiami CF Radio Network.
Sorry about that. I didn't have the name in
We're back here at Dangerous Minds Brewing in Pompano at the Pompano City Center. Come on out and join us for every single road broadcast, watch party. Great beer, great food, great fun. I'm sure it's a place that Ben Wright would like to join us here, of course, from Broadway Sports Media. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben Wright. Fernando Fiore, of course, joining us for the interview. Ben, good afternoon, my friend. How are you doing, sir? Sorry, I'm not hearing Ben right now.
I'm not hearing him either.
Yeah, Ben, do we have Ben? I am not hearing Ben. Having an issue here. Sean? Fernando, are you there? Do we have Fernando? There we go. Fernando?
Hey, there he is.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find Ben Wright.
Now, Fernando, I remember last season you had a rivalry with some folks associated with Nashville SC. Is it possible that maybe Ben might be an enemy of yours I didn't know about, and that could be an issue?
Yes, it is.
I do remember that. And speaking of that, Fernando, we have the starting 11 now, and it's as I predicted. If I can toot my own horn for a second, Rodolfo Pizarro is going to be starting up front. So the number 10 becomes a number 9 today, with Lewis Morgan in his usual spot on the right. Jay Chapman's going to be playing behind the striker. Victor Ulloa off on the left in the left wing. So your feelings on that makeshift attack, Fernando, and do you think we're going to get the same approach? Phil Neville did say it this week, no matter who the players are in, we're going to get the same approach as usual. So how do you expect InterMiami's top line to perform today? Haha.
Ah, I see. Maybe.
Hey, can you hear me?
Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, we have Ben now from Broadway Sports Media. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben Wright. Ben, are you there, my friend?
I am. Sorry about that. How's it going?
Well, Ben, thank you for joining us. Talk to us a little bit about this matchup because right now, after last week's win, we were feeling really confident. But now with the Higuain brothers out and Robbie Robinson against Nashville on the road, it becomes really, really difficult in this one.
Yeah, I think you've seen from the first two matches that Nashville have created tons of chances and just haven't been able to keep the other team out of the back of the net. I think against Miami, it's going to be a much tougher test than we've seen against Cincinnati or Montreal because no disrespect to either of those teams. I think even without the Higuain brothers, even without Robbie Robinson, I think Miami's just a better attacking side. So yeah, it's going to be a matchup that Nashville hasn't seen before, and I think this is just a much better Miami team than they saw last season.
Yeah, I think my biggest surprise with Nashville so far, and I know it's only 2 games in, so these aren't necessarily major trends, but 2 goals conceded in each of the first 2, Ben. What's been the difference in the defense so far?
I think it's been 2 things. I think they started both matches pretty slowly. Against Cincinnati, they conceded 2 goals in the first 15 minutes. And then against Montreal, they conceded 2 goals in the first half. So I think it's a bit of a slow start in both games. And I think also there's just a bit of bad luck. They've only given up 6 shots on target and conceded 4 goals. One of those was a penalty. But still, I think it's just kind of a case where everything that Montreal and Cincinnati put on target kind of went in. I think if you played those games 10 times, Nashville would have won them both 9 out of 10. And I think they just got unfortunate, and probably at the other end of the field were probably unfortunate not to put more of their chances in.
Ben, before we let you go, I want to know if it's just a homer's point of view, but I know this is a very difficult game, but last year it looked like the team was constantly discombobulated, different lineups, different formations all the time. It seemed like the coach really couldn't settle on anything. It seems to us like we're watching a team with structure now, and it looks like they're playing together. So does that give them a chance, at least, in a game like that? And are you seeing the same difference from last year to this year?
Yeah, I think they look a lot better. I think they just are organized, and they have a clear tactical identity, which is something that you couldn't really say about Miami last year. So I think Phil Neville's kind of coming and put his blueprint on the team already. There was always talent on the roster, and I think the issue last year is they could never figure out a way to play and really play the cohesive unit. So I think now that they're starting to figure that out, I think this is kind of a more accurate portrayal of what Miami actually is than what we saw in 2020.
Looking forward to the game today at 1 o'clock. You'll hear it here on the InterMiami Radio Network. That's Ben Wright from Broadway Sports Media. Follow him on Twitter at Ben Wright. Ben, thank you for taking some time, my brother. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thanks, you got it. Thank you, sir. There you go. Fernando Fiore, sir, we look forward to your call, of course, at the top of the hour as Miami takes on Nashville. Let's hope for a big victory because a big victory would be enormous. It might be the biggest win in InterMiami's short history if they win today.
We have the starting 11 now, and it's as I predicted, if I can toot my own horn for a second, Rodolfo Pizarro is going to be starting up front, so the number 10 becomes an
All right, let's do it. Fernando, thank you as always. We'll take a break. We're coming to you live from Dangerous Minds Brewing here in Pompano, in the Pompano City Center. Come on out here. Join us for every single road game. We come back for the final segment of the pregame show right here on OnSideRadio.com. Right, we are back here at, of course, Dangerous Minds Brewing as we get ready for Inter and Nashville big game. Let's see if the boys can pull it out and come through in a big time way. Why don't we do this? Let's get into our player spotlight.
Well, a player who's in the starting 11 today, Ryan Shawcross, who made his debut last week in Philadelphia, played 11 solid minutes as a substitute. He is starting at right center back today, with LGP being the center back partnership. Here's Ryan Shawcross on his experience so far with InterMiami. And for Shawcross last week, not only was it his InterMiami debut, but it's also the first game action he's gotten since way back on December 8th of last year with Stoke. Here's Shawcross on his fitness levels. And obviously, Phil Neville felt good enough about those fitness levels to play him from the start today.
Well, listen, after the Miami FC game and the 2 MLS games, we should start seeing a better team right now that should be in better condition. Plus, you kind of went through a little bit of a buzzsaw playing the 2 games and the game against Miami FC. Now you got an entire week off to kind of relax and get that energy back. So I'm looking forward to it. Let's see what happens today. All right, let's get inside the numbers. Let's talk to Mr. Action. That is Alex Dono. He's always got action on he's got action right now on how many beers Abel will drink today. So
over under is 6.5 on that front. But let me get to InterMiami. Now, those who do still feel bullish about InterMiami despite all of the players out of action, get some good value here. InterMiami, the underdogs in this game, at plus 355 on the money line.
Wow.
So a $100 bet would win you $355 if InterMiami win. They're a half-goal underdog in this game. The over-under for this one is 2.5 goals. Now, normally against Nashville, I'd feel good about that, but I'm not so sure since Nashville has had 2-2 draws in their first 2 games. So I don't know whether to go over or under. So your own discretion will come into play on that.
I'm going over on Abel. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get a designated driver, too, for Abel. All right, let's move over to our streaks, struggles, and storylines. All right, Donald, obviously the biggest storyline here is the missing players without Higuain. And obviously the Higuain brothers made such an amazing impact last week because we talk about Federico and Shawcross coming in and really changing the dynamics of that game in the second half, really lifted the club up. But unfortunately now the 2 Higuain brothers are out. Robbie Robinson, who's really kind of built off that offseason that everybody talked about, and he was starting to show signs. Those guys are missing. It's a hell of a storyline right there.
Yeah, the attack's going to look so different. I mean, the one constant is Lewis Morgan on the right wing. He's going to have to be more impactful than he was the first 2 games. You've got Ulloa starting on the left wing, which is not his usual spot. Jay Chapman playing behind the striker. And the striker today is Rodolfo Pizarro. But we know he can score. He's scored goals for this club before, so he's going to have to turn that on today. Other streaks you look at, InterMiami, they're trying to start a winning streak. After a magical comeback against Philly 8 nights ago, they're going to go for 2 in a row. Nashville, meanwhile, is on a streak of 2 consecutive 2-2 draws in their opening games, and they've given up 2 goals in each of those. And plenty of storylines here as well, beyond even the injuries and the absences. Nashville, they were the team that ended InterMiami's season last year in the play-in round of the MLS Cup playoffs, so we can look for some payback today on David Beckham's birthday. So you'd love to get 3 points.
And let me tell you what could be the best storyline. If this team somehow gets a victory, this will go far for Phil Neville because this will show that he really has a grip of this club. So this will be a hell of a performance. Let's see it. Chris Whittingham, Thomas Roggen, Fernando Fiore are coming your way. We thank Sean down at the studios, Abel by our side out here, the great folks out here at Dangerous Minds Brewing in Pompano, Alex Dono, my partner in crime. We'll see you at halftime. Get ready for the broadcast. InterMiami taking on Nashville SC right here on the InterMiami CF Radio Network.